It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the West Liberties head softball coach, Coach Sara Pelegreen. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Brandon. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college softball?
I kind of didn't know I wanted to get started in coaching. I was asked a year after I graduated college if I wanted to become a GA at Wheeling Jesuit University. And I was like, I mean, I don't really want to coach, but I'll get my degree and I get to be around softball for a little bit longer. So I was like, yeah, sure. And then in my second year of my GA, I went to the NFCA convention and I like fell in love with everything. And I'm like, I think this is something I want to do. So that's kind of how it happened. I really liked the impact that we were making. And I was like, I just think that I want to move forward with this.
What was that experience like for you going to West Virginia State and playing collegiate softball there?
It was different. I had never really been away from my hometown before. So I'm from Ohio and West Virginia State was 3 hours away from home. And it was adjustment for me in that sense, but I really enjoyed my time there and we were really good. And so that kind of helps a little bit. But yeah, it was great. I had a really good career down there. And if I look back, like I wouldn't really change anything besides like maybe working a little bit harder.
What was that feeling like putting on that uniform and representing?
Well, it's been a while, right? I think I graduated in 2013, but um, like there's nothing like taking the softball field. I feel the same way now when I coach. Like I I think that every opportunity that I get to step on the softball field, like I'm so grateful and I'm proud to do what I do. And I know that when I played too, like I'm a very competitive person. So I stepped out on the field and I'm like, let's go. So yeah, I'm just really grateful. And I know like if I can remember anything, it's just being able to step on the field and doing something that I love.
What were some of your biggest softball accomplishments as a player?
So my team won the conference championship my senior year, which was really cool because we had competed in the conference championship both my sophomore and my junior year, and we had lost. And so it was finally my senior year when we put it all together, and we had a really good year that year, and we won the conference. But as far as I go, I don't really remember my accomplishments. I know like junior and senior year were my two best years. So I think that I had some all region and all conference accolades. But the thing that I remember the most is just winning our conference championship my senior year.
What was that feeling like going from being a player to being a part of the grad assistant at Wheeler?
Um, it was tough because I was about the same age as the girls, and that's like something that I have a GA now. And it's kind of when you're getting into coaching, you're almost the same age as your players, and you have to figure out how to earn that level of respect and make them realize, like, hey, I know I'm your age, but I'm not your friend. I'm one of your coaches. And that was just a big thing for me and just learning, like, I didn't really know what I was talking about as a coach. I only was going off of my playing experiences at that time. And so just kind of forming a little bit each time or a little bit each year of who I was going to become as a coach.
How was that transition like for you going from being a grad assistant to a head coach at Wheeling?
Uh, Probably the biggest transition, I would say. When I applied for the job, I wasn't expecting to. After my 2 years GA, our head coach left. And so it was one of those things where do I want to apply for this job or do I want to go elsewhere? And for some reason, Wheeling Jesuit took a chance on me and hired me as a 25-year-old head coach. And I had no idea what the hell I was doing. But no, there's nothing like, I will say, learning by being thrown in the fire. And I know that sounds like harsh a little bit, but like there's nothing like experience, right? And so like as you do anything, experience is what really teaches you how to do stuff. And so while it was 3 very challenging years trying to figure out like who I was going to be as a coach when I was still so young, it was challenging, but I would not take that back at all because it was easy, or it was like one of the easiest ways to figure out how to do things quicker, even if things weren't great all the time.
What was that feeling like being a head coach for the first time in your coaching career?
Super scary, because the responsibility is all on you. And but that's still kind of to this day. It's a little less scary, but I think just realizing, at 25 years old, I was in charge of 25 young women from 18 to 22 years old. And that is scary, and they're leaning on you and they're expecting you to know a lot. And one of the biggest things I learned was you don't have to know everything. Like even now, I'm very firm in here's the deal. I'm not a hitting coach. I'm not going to sit here and pick apart your swing. I can tell you when you look wonky, but I own what I don't know. And that really taught me that, because when I first started coaching, I thought that I had to kind of know everything. And if like I didn't know, I was just making it up. And then I learned really quick, like, you can't do that. That's not a good thing to do.
How was that experience like being the pitching coach for Robert Morris?
Yeah, I think like the best move in my career actually was leaving Wheeling and going to Robert Morris as an assistant, for a lot of reasons. I think one, I did not really have a lot of experience as an assistant coach before becoming the head coach, at Wheeling. And so it was nice to kind of take a step back. Like it wasn't my program. I was part of the program, but it wasn't my program that I was fully responsible for. And so I was able to form like better connections and kind of realize like that is the type of coach that I want to be. I want to be a relational coach. I want to be someone who the girls can come talk to, even when like one day I knew that I would want to be a head coach again. And so it was nice to be able to take a step back into that assistant role. And then also it just taught me a lot about like when I went up there, when Coach Jex hired me, we were building a brand new culture. And I'm actually in that same situation right now as the head coach here at West Lib. And so it's almost like I needed that experience at Robert Morris for what I'm doing right now at West Liberty.
How was that experience like for you getting to coach the pitchers at Robert Morris and getting to have them be a part of your coaching?
Yeah, I think that like pitching is my thing. I was a pitcher. I love it. I love the mentality around pitching. Sometimes we're a little crazy, but like we kind of have to be if you want the ball in your hand every pitch. But it was cool. I liked working with just a small group of our team and really focusing on that and being very intentional about that. Um, but also because of our staff up at Robert Morris, I did get to like own a lot of different roles. And so like, was I the pitching coach? Yes, I called the pitches. I worked with the pitchers, but I was also doing all things hands-on as well. So, but yeah, I like working with pitchers. I just relate a lot because, like I said, we're kind of crazy, and yeah, it was great.
What were some of the things that you learned during your time at Robert Morris to help you to transition to being a head coach?
I think kind of what I alluded to just now is probably one of the biggest things. We were in a place at Robert Morris where Coach Jets had just taken over as the head coach and hired me. And so we were part of establishing a core value system and a non-negotiable system, and basically a culture. And that hadn't been held before. And that's probably one of the biggest transitions that I'm currently seeing, because I just came to West Liberty in January. So I got here mid-year. And then, so I got hired in January and had to compete in February with a group of girls I didn't really know. And so something that I really had to, like, I knew after our season was over in May, and coming into this fall, it is time to implement a culture structure. And so that's probably the biggest thing, amongst other things, right? Like I had a lot of duties in the office. I did, you know, a lot of everything else on field, off field, whatever. But I think the biggest thing has been this culture implementation, I guess you would call it.
What was that feeling like being the head coach for West Liberty and getting announced to become the next head coach?
Well, this is fresh in my mind. I can remember this. Very grateful. I am from this area. I've had 3 jobs all within 45 minutes from my hometown. So it's very important for me to be here. And I knew at one point, whenever this West Liberty softball job opened up, that that would be something that I would apply for. And I like when I did get the call from the athletic director that he was offering me the job, I kind of cried a little bit. And I'm happy to be here, and I feel like I can grow here. I feel like I can be successful here. We have the resources to do so, and that's the plan. I want to make an impact in a lot of different ways.
After getting announced, what was that feeling like building the coaching staff around you and the players around you?
Um, so I haven't really like I have 30 girls on my team right now. So building the team around me, I've only recruited 6 of them so far. So like that's something that we are actively working on for the next few years. Um, the way that our coaching staff is set up here, I am provided 2 graduate assistants. So every 2 years that they will rotate out. But I do have my hitting coach. He is from Pittsburgh and he comes down about 4 days a week and hits with our girls. And he was on staff with me at like after Robert Morris, I went to Wheeling for a year and he was on staff with me there. And I knew like when I got this job that I would want him to come up with me and he happily said yes. So we're gonna do a lot of good things together, that's for sure.
For you, what was that feeling like the first time you stepped onto that softball field as a head coach for West Liberty?
It was cool and actually cold. I think we were down in North Carolina in February, and I remember having to wear my parka because it was cold. I wasn't expecting to have to wear a parka in North Carolina, but you know, whatever. But it was cool. Like we just got demolished. I'm not gonna lie. Like the first game was so bad, and we lost by a lot of runs. But I knew last year was going to be one of those years where outcomes couldn't be a part of the conversation. It had to be our process and how to move forward through the bad times. So I think like our first win last semester didn't come until like 10 or 12 games in. And that while it was very challenging on my brain, because I'm like, why aren't we winning? It was it was really cool when we finally like got the win and then we started grooving as a team a little bit more throughout the season.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a head coach?
Well, if we're playing at home, we do our own field work. So we have to show up early before our warm-ups even start and drag the field, line the field, do all the stuff. And sometimes our weather's not good up here. And I remember several times last semester we had to take the tarp off and drain a ton of water off the field before we can even step foot on our field to rake and drag and do all the things. So we will start our warm-ups typically an hour and a half to 2 hours before game time. So then I am here probably at least an hour and a half before that. And then we play double headers and then I finally get to go home. So it's at least like a 12 or 13-hour day, which is fine. I love softball, so it's great. And then when we're on like a away trip, we obviously, you know, leave super early, make sure that we get to where we need to be in enough time to maybe eat and then start warm-ups about an hour and a half before our game. So I am the type of person that like I like to do stuff. I don't like to sit around and watch. Like I will never sit down during our double headers at all. My body hates me by the end of the day, but I don't sit down. And but I try to be a good vibe. Like I don't believe in like yelling at girls just to yell at them for no reason. I believe in coaching when they come off the field and doing what we got to do there. So yeah, just depends on what game day is what it looks like.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you built for West Liberty softball?
Yeah, this is special to me right now, actually. Um So I asked a lot of my coaching friends over summer, like, how do I start? Like, where do I start with a core value structure and our culture structure? And they said a lot about like, well, what's important to you as a coach because this is your program. And what's important for me, if I could pick a core value word for myself, it's empower. And it's empower because like I want to empower young women to be stronger individuals by the time they leave college from when they get here. And that means in quite like literally stronger. Like I want them to learn how to lift weights and be good to their bodies. I want them to be stronger minded, stronger willed, being able to use their voice in stronger ways. So that's really important to me. And so now our core value structure is around the word empower. And then each of the letters of empower have a different core value word off of it. And we talk about them every single week. We have quotes of the days that we relate back to a core value word. So, and it's something that we're actively pushing right now. We didn't do a ton as a team before, and now we do team bonding at least once a week, if not more than that. And like we went to the volleyball game to support them on Tuesday. So we're currently having to push maybe a little bit of team bonding onto the girls, like intentionally, just so we can get to where we need to be with our culture. That way it will flow later on when we're really good at it.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
So our conference is the Mountain East Conference in West Virginia. So a lot of like most of our teams are in West Virginia, and then we compete against Point Park in Pittsburgh, and then we have Frostburg State in Maryland. So we have what Fairmont, Glenville, West Virginia Wesleyan, West Virginia State is where I went to college, University of Charleston, Concord. I can't. Wheeling University is where I also coached before. So yeah, it's mostly all like our farthest away conference game is 4.5 hours down to Concord. And so it's a pretty regional, it's very good regionally for us.
What is that home atmosphere like when teams like Fairfield comes to home versus going away to to your alma mater?
So we probably, as like West Liberty, we probably our conference is split into two North and South divisions. And so I think like we beef a little bit more with the North division because we have to play them more and it matters more. I guess I shouldn't say it matters more, but we have to play them more often. So their games are a little bit more important, I would say. Because we have to end up in the top four of our side of the conference to make it to postseason. And so I think we probably beef with the Fairmonts, the Frostburgs, the Wheeling a little bit more than we do the Southern teams, which is where West Virginia State is. But for me, like I always enjoy like when they come here, when we go there, one of my teammates that I had in college, she's the head coach at West Virginia State. So it gives us an excuse to kind of play each other and see each other all at the same weekend, and it's a good vibe.
What is that home game atmosphere like at West Liberty?
It depends on if it's hot or cold. I think when the weather breaks and it starts getting warmer, we do tend to see a lot more people at our games. But when it's cold, you're not going to see very many. Like you'll see our parents. We have some local players. So you'll see our parents and they drive in for the weekend or something. And so you'll see all of them bundled up in their parkas no matter what the temperature is. But definitely like our students come to our games whenever it starts to be a lot warmer, which is probably in April-ish.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as a softball coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes?
Yeah, that's a pretty popular question for recruiting in general. They always want to know, like, how do I get recruited? And quite frankly, like, you got to be good, right? So, like, the first thing that someone's going to see is talent. And then, like, for me, anyways, I'm going to see talent. Like, okay, she's a left-handed hitter. She just smoked that to center field. I'm going to watch her a little bit harder now. Is she a good teammate? Does she cheer on her team when she's not on the field? If she has a bad outcome, does she throw her helmet or throw a fit about it? That's not, I don't vibe with that, right? So no matter how good you are, if you act like that, you're not welcome on my softball team. And so I'm also big on the relational side of things. I build relationships with my recruits through the recruiting process. So like right now, I am texting or calling them every week or every other week just to check in, see how everything's going, and asking them things like about life and about their families and everything, like not even softball related, because that matters to me is who they are as a human being. They're not just a transaction for me. And so my recruitment is a little bit like, yes, I need to see if you're good or not first. Then I'm going to continue watching you as a player. And then if I want to pull the trigger, then it's like, okay, let me get to know her a little bit more. And then eventually get on campus, visit, practice with us, have an overnight with the girls. If they like everything, offer them and hope for the best, I guess.
How is it like getting to see them fall in love with the campus and the softball facility?
That is something that's pretty cool. Uh, I like we hosted our first prospect camp in September, the first one since I have been here. And the feedback that I got from almost everybody at camp was unreal. They were blown away by our facilities. I guess they didn't expect a small D2 school in West Virginia to have the good facilities that we have. But also like the way it was ran, they got a campus tour during it. And it's pretty cool at the end of camp when like there was a girl that came up and she's like, Coach, I want to go here. I'm like, all right, good thing you're good because and so I was like, yeah, like I love that. I love that she just immediately like I love the vibes of the girls. I love your coaching style. I loved the school. Like I want to be here. And I'm like, okay, sis, like let's pump the brakes. Let's get you back here on your own visit and make it like a little bit more intimate for her rather than just the camp setting. But it is really cool when we get to show what West Liberty has and then they see it from their point of view, and I get to see them finally see what we see, if that makes sense.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that West Liberty jersey for the first time?
Well, that's something I still haven't experienced quite yet. Like we're playing fall ball right now. We don't really wear uniforms. We just kind of wear our practice shirts and whatnot. Um, but I am really excited when we get to spring and we're putting on uniforms for the first time. And like I think the coolest feeling is when a girl finally gets her, like a freshman gets her first hit or her first win in the circle or just, I don't know, first like big play or something. And I think that they kind of prove to themselves that they have earned a spot to be here and earned a right to be here. And I think that's cool because they are proving to themselves and not necessarily proving to us.
What will that feeling feel like getting to see those seniors putting on that uniform for the last time?
It's different a little bit for me because I just got here. But the two seniors that we will have graduating, they're good and they're good leaders. And I will be pretty sad about it for sure because they are good human beings and they're the type of girls that you want on your softball team. But the type of women that they have been becoming in the process it's unreal even from just me getting here in January. So I'll be sad, but I know that they have a lot to look forward to in life as well. And that's why they came here, did their 4 years. They built everything in these last 4 years to be able to go out into the real world and compete in life.
As a head coach, what will that feeling feel like seeing those players going on to playing Athletes Unlimited or the national team route?
I don't know. I haven't really, I had And this is, I think I'm going on year 11 coaching. Our level doesn't really put a lot of people to the pro league. Um, and I've only coached one player in my 11 or my 10 years so far that had the opportunity to do it. But like it's cool that there's now that option, right? Like if you want to continue on and try out for the pro teams, you can. I really enjoy that we have that option. But like what we talk about is like who are they about to be in life and how are they going to compete in life after college, not necessarily and unless their goal is to try to be pro, right? So I think that there's a little bit of a different conversation at our level because we are a very small Division II school.
What would you tell your younger self now, looking back on your career as a head coach?
Um, Kind of like I said before, you don't know everything and you don't have to. I think that also you can't coach everybody the same. Um, I might be able to yell at a girl and, kick her butt a little bit harder than another girl is able to take. And that's okay. It's just like that process of figuring out who those types of kids are. That's what's challenging. But just like taking it all in, being present, being where your feet are matters, and not trying to get ahead of yourself and not focusing on outcomes, focusing on the process. Like, yeah, winning matters and we want to win, but it's how are we going to act? And what we talk about here at West Liberty is we win no matter what. So like if we don't actually have like the winning score on the scoreboard, what did we learn that day to get better? And that is a win in itself. And so we talk a lot about that because too many student athletes these days put a lot of their identity and a lot of their pressures on like you're a failure if you lose. And you're not. It's just a game. It's actually not that serious.
What are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
So I'll put it out there. Like, I want to be able to compete really tough in region and hopefully like into the World Series in the next like 3 to 5 years. Like, I want to be able to do that. And that's something I don't know if it's super realistic, but that's in my brain and that's what I'm going to build and try to do. And that's what motivates me right now is because I think that we can do that. And I think the type of young women we bring into the program will be able to do that. So that's my goal, my plan. As far as like at West Liberty, we are in the process of building a really cool like clubhouse facility at our field. And so like, and then I think in the next probably 5 years, you're going to see us have a turf field as well. And I believe once all that's put into place, we'll probably have the best facilities in our conference. And that's like really cool to look forward to. So I don't know. I think that my goal in life, my goal as a coach, not in life, as a coach, is to build a really, really good softball team with really good people. I don't believe in being a really good softball team if it sacrifices being a good human. I don't believe in that at all. So I want to be really good and really good people at the same time.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college softball?
Um, I think a lot of people think it's the end of the world when something really little happens. And it's just like maybe not to get too high or too low about specific stuff. Like I think that freshmen sometimes freak out on both ends of it. Like, oh my God, I just struck out. She's never going to put me in the game again. Or like, oh my God, I have so much homework. I don't know how I'm going to be able to handle this. And it's just one of those things where it's not the end of the world. You're going to get through it. God has our back. But like we have to learn how to have a level head, a more even head. And I think that that's probably the biggest thing for freshmen is just figuring out how to get to that point sooner.
What advice would you give those seniors looking to play professional softball and even getting into college coaching after their playing career?
I do believe like we probably have a player right now that wants to be a college coach down the road, and I think she'd be great at it. And I want to support that because I don't believe that our profession has enough young females getting into it. And I think it's important for that because we know we know what it's like to go through the college process and play college softball and like the grind it is. And I don't know that enough young women want to get into that because they know about how many hours we work and all of the time on the road, and it's not a normal job. And like, and I love that. I embrace that. Does it suck sometimes being away from my family? Sure. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm doing something I love and I'm making an impact. And I think that if more young women can believe in that and believe in themselves to know that they can have that impact, then I completely encourage that.
What advice would you give those future head coaches looking to build their own program and build their own legacy?
Just be you and don't necessarily like you do need to adapt as a person and evolve as a person throughout your coaching career. Um, but don't try to be somebody you're not because it like people see through that, the student athletes see through that. So I think just like if you can figure out how to be like authentically you and stay true to that and know like when you lay your head down at night that your intentions are pure and you've handled everything that you've needed to handle in the manner that you believe was correct, then that's all it is. So I think just being uniquely you and sticking to that.
Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the program?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Sara Pelegreen, SaraPelegreen. I'm big into like fitness. I have a 3-year-old son. You're going to see a lot of that. My Twitter is more softball related. But I love meeting people and being able to connect with people over social media. So, I definitely like, hey, come follow me. Yes. But like also follow West Liberty. I think we are on everything at WLU_softball. But on TikTok, we're at WLU softball without the underscore. And our girls like love the TikToks and post it. Like one of our TikToks went viral last semester and I didn't even think it was a very good one, but whatever. But yeah, like we have so much fun on social media, and that's definitely a step up that we're taking this year and making that a priority. So yes, please follow us.
Thank you again, Coach Sara Pelegreen, for your interview and best of luck in your future at West Liberty.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Sara Pelegreen, for your interview and best of luck in your future.
Absolutely.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.